world. Farmers know farming is an art.
Cut!
Right, Cura team. Well, welcome to Farm Sim 25. Now listen, there's so much to get through. Right, let's just. I was really anticipating this game. I have to say, I was so anticipating this game that I did like 14 episodes of Farm Sim 22 in the lead up to Farm Sim 25, covering all of the kind of basics of Farm Simulator that you've got to know from Farm Simulator 19 on console or anything else before that from anywhere else, and Farm Sim 22 in the vague hope that Farm Sim 25 would be better. And look, I don't want to spoil the surprise here, but it sure as shit ain't. In fact, it's so bad that I am desperate to try and figure out how I could possibly get my money back. It is actually worse than Farm Sim 20. It's worse than Farm Sim 19. It is the worst version of Farm Simulator I have seen on the market. And it galls me the amount of crap that the developer has shoveled on here in the vague hope of producing something good and getting people like myself to part with good money for what is something that really, actually, in most cases, doesn't fucking work. And I'm really angry about it, as you can figure out. So I'm going to cover some of those things with you, and it may run on a little bit, certainly past one episode, because there were so many things wrong that we need to talk about. So before we get stuck into any of that, we'll probably have to get started on the good, because it's a very, very short list. So let's get started with the good, shall we? Right, here I am. This is Riverbend Springs. So this is sort of the introductory map. And what I would have to say really is the maps are very big. They're quite detailed, and there's certainly quite an awful lot of things going on. I will give them that. I mean, I went back and had a look at the FS19 map that I was playing, and it was really quite simple, and it was really quite small. And this map is by no means the biggest map. I mean, I might arguably say here, when you're looking at this map, and maybe we'll get into that later, is just exactly how much of this is content you can actually play with, and how much of it is just fluff around the edges that you just can't do anything with. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So, before we get into some of that bad stuff, the good stuff is, this is Riverbend Springs, and it's quite big. It's got some novel stuff in it. There's a ferry crossing down here, so you can drive on with your little ferry, and you can do your whatnot on the ferry, and that's all cool, I guess, if you wanted to do that kind of thing. I suppose, let's have a look. There's some tractors and some harvesters going on. So this is Riverbend Springs. So this is like the kind of stuff that you're going to get to see on Riverbend Springs. This is maybe a little bit too close. So you got this massive car park, very American, obviously, having a massive car park. You got buses, we got people wandering around, Sims, I guess, of some description or other. Again, like I said, details, level crossings, various other bits and pieces. All of that kind of stuff. It's definitely a lot more involved as far as maps go, in terms of the actual design of the maps. And like I said, I'll certainly give them credit for that. It's certainly a big, detailed map. I mean, you see it's got the rail bridge there, and you can go back around the mall, and you can see that there's stuff in the distance and various other bits and pieces here, and advertising for various downloadable content from Giant Software, which is, tickety-boo and all that. Some elaborate bridges, got some cars, etc. So here you go. This is Riverbend Springs. This will probably be your introduction to the map, as it were, coming out here, and you're going to see this with these various other bits and pieces, and go, well, that looks nice, and it does look nice. Yeah, it's not bad overall as a map. Maybe we'll get to that later. Let's have a look at the other two base maps. Right, this is the Zielonka base map, which is beginning to look a little bit more like what I would probably say is is the fairly standard kind of farm simulator kind of map. You can see lots of these fields, everything else. We have this kind of road that runs through it. We got some houses and various bits and pieces on that, so it looks like farming community outside of town, or a town farming community, or whatnot, and so on, etc. You have lots of big blank areas, presumably canvas to do your own thing with, as it were, which is fine. And you look at 94 fields. Now, I will probably preface the fact that although it says that there are 94 fields, some of these fields are actually, relatively small, perhaps by farm sim standards. But, I would say the original farm sim map probably not even a quarter of this size. So at least the one I played on Farm Sim 19 probably wasn't nearly as big as this, for sure. So this is the Zielonka map, which has quite a few things going on, and I've been doing quite a few things on this map. So let's have a look at the old Zielonka map, shall we? It's regular old farm buildings and things. You see, there's some apartment blocks and various other bits and pieces in the distance. There's an old tower over there. There's a few bits and pieces again. The crossings and the Sims. You got this, like, I don't know what that might be, like a retirement community, or something like church community, something like that. There's the kind of churchy, cathedral-y kind of a thing there, and all the rest of it. And if we zoom in down here, you got a pond with a kiddies playground attached to it. These like very nice brick houses with car assets and things. Someone's got a gazebo there. Places where you can get the bus stops and car parking, and that's a production facility. And further up here, there's some small apartment blocks. Was that a restaurant? You got this huge, old brick, presumably some kind of a water tower, something like that. So yeah, so this is the Zielonka map. And there you have your bigotry, which I think is Polish. So I think it's arguably based on something Polish, as it were. So you have these, obviously these blocks and various other bits and pieces and stuff like that. So and the biogas plant there. So that's Zielonka. That is the Zielonka map, and yeah, quite a lot more, I guess, regular shaped fields and focused on sort of like the main bulk of fields, which is here in these fields around the outside, which is a little bit, to me, a little bit more farm simulator. Anyway, let's have a look at the last map. Right, this is the last map. This is the Hutan Pantai map, if I'm saying that correctly, and I might be saying it completely incorrectly. And this is, I guess, the smallest of the three maps. I think it's the smallest. I might not be right, but I think it's the smallest of the three maps. And this is more in keeping with the kind of thing that I would have thought you see on FS19 or FS22, which is quite a surprise given that they kind of, hinted that this was like the big new thing. The big new thing was going to be, this Asian style map with, rice paddies and water buffalo, essentially. I guess you've got an awful lot of curved fields, an awful lot of odd shaped fields here. I think that's going to pose something of a problem to you if you try and play it. Certainly based on anything I've done. And I think we'll have a look. So this is downtown Hutan Pantai or whatever. So they've gone with this kind of Asian thing. It's quite concretey, all the bits and pieces. You've got some Sims walking around, appropriately culturally correct and all that. Although obviously it's a multicultural world, no matter where you go these days. So you got these those old style houses and various other bits and pieces like that and things. I don't know if there's a particular place in the world that this is modeled on. I've not traveled a lot in Asia. Some people are like, oh yeah, that's very definitely Thailand, or that's very definitely South Korea, or it's very definitely wherever. But it is what it is, and this is what it is. Yeah. So there you go. You know, and you got this you know, the elevated trains and various other bits and pieces. So again, you've got all this, which is interesting. Of course, you can do nothing with those and nothing with those places. But there you go. So there's the maps. So credit where credit's due. The maps are slightly bigger. This one maybe marginally slightly bigger. Than the stuff we've been used to before, and it seems like there's an awful lot more forestry blocks out here around the back. So there you go. That's perhaps one good thing. One good thing is that the maps are bigger. Another good thing I'm going to say is that the interior of the vehicles is definitely a lot better than it used to be. It used to be the interior of the vehicles had like bad PNG files or something. So while we had dash consoles and various other bits and pieces like that, especially noticeable in some of the harvesters and various things, they weren't really very. It wasn't really great. Not really very good stuff. I mean, it's not without its limits. I mean, you can see there actually that there is a rev counter that is actually running on the screen in front of me right now. So there are some touches. The screens are dynamic. They'll do your speed and everything else. They still don't provide any information about the harvest or anything. But I certainly do think it is an improvement. Yeah, if you're going to spend time in the machines, and not everybody does, but if you are going to spend time in the machines, the attention to detail on the inside of the machines is a lot better than it was. That's for sure. So that's definitely another good thing. Now, another good thing that I've found, and I've come over here so you can see it, this is an oil mill. This is a very, obviously, a very small oil mill. But this is an oil mill, which, as you can see, is producing oil, and I can produce that oil directly from my silos. It doesn't have to be attached to my silo. I just put it here for convenience. So that is very definitely a good thing. There is, down in the construction menu, if one finds oneself on the factories area, which is where all the production units and things are. There's all the usual stuff that you had, you know, sawmills and bakeries and things. But as you go down, you will see that you will get to the smaller things that are much nearer the bottom, which are these kinds of things, which is like this is a bakery, but it's a small bakery. So this is like the kind of bakery you could attach to your farm. I can't quite get look around. Yeah, so it's like this could be like a farm bakery, as it were, that you could attach to your farm. You got this carpentry, which is just a shed. You got a preserved food factory, which again is just a shed. So you have these tiny little production areas, which is great. So instead of having to fork out $250,000 or $500,000 or whatever, you can get into production pretty simply just by expanding your farm a little bit at a time. So you can still chuck in a dairy of your own. I mean, you're still going to need all the inputs that you need and everything else, but you do have this. So that's actually pretty good, and that does solve a lot of issues with things like, oh, I want to get involved in dairying. Oh, no, it's going to be $210,000. I don't want to get involved in that. Or upwards exactly for your biogas plant, which is 1,180,000. Of course, there isn't a small version of a biogas plant because it's a biogas plant, right? But there you go. So it's got some small things in it. So there's some small things in there that are pretty good. Now, while we are looking at that in terms of production, there is one other thing in production which is actually not that bad if I go and have a look at it. So I have some production units here. These are the ones that are listed as owned. We've got 4 large greenhouses, an oil mill, and a preserved food factory. Now, if we go to any one of the large glass houses, you will see that you have a whole raft of stuff here. It's got the chili peppers, garlic, lettuce, snap, cabbage, etc. Now, you will see here that down at the bottom we have change output mode. And we currently have it set to storing, but you can set it to selling, and you can set it to distributing. Now, this is a nice little change because storing is the same as it always was. It produces goods on pallets. The pallets get dropped outside. You have to pick the pallets up. You take the pallets to wherever you're going to sell the pallets, and you sell the pallets, and you come back again. Or if you were taking it to another production facility of your own, you have to do the same thing, but you're picking up the pallets and you're moving it to wherever you're going to move it to. That's fine. That's kind of it. If you change it to selling, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It sells it. So it doesn't keep hold of it. It creates a certain amount of some description, and then it sells it, and then it reaps the money. Now, I understand, and I'll take it on face value, because I haven't really explored it in detail, because I don't really have time to bore myself anymore with a game that's shit. But basically, what my understanding is that if you sell it, you lose a percentage of your profit for fees and handling and so on. And I think it's like someone posted it online as like 10% or something like that. So you save 10% or you lose 10% from selling it directly. That said, if you want to sell it directly, you still have to get it from point A where you're manufacturing it to point B wherever it is you're selling it. So, that's still going to cost you money. Up to you whether that's the kind of game you want to play. But at least you have the option of doing that. Distributing does exactly the same thing, but ensures that you're basically supplying your own production chains with your own stuff. So, if I wanted to, like the preserved food factory, have some preserved chilies or some pickled chilies or whatever, that's fine. I said it's distributing. That means that the glass house grows the chilies. The chilies are automatically dispatched to preserved food factory. The preserved food factory automatically makes the final product. And if I set the final product to selling, it automatically sells the product. And I don't have to do anything. So it's a 100% handheld process, which means all I have to do is supply the glass house with water, which is fine. Supply it with water every now and again, run a tanker up and down, who cares, right? So they've done that, and that makes production chains an awful lot simpler, which is bizarre given all the other crap they've put in the game that makes the rest of the game so tediously difficult and freaking hard. Right, so let's talk about the things that are not so good. Um, of which there are multiple, including some parts of the game, as I've said, that simply don't work at all and are unplayable. And I'm shocked for the fact that this came out in November 2024, and there's some major bugs on console that just have not been, they're not even mentioned in the latest patch update, which is unconscionable, really, frankly, from my point of view. But anyway, here we are. So you start out, you have your regular career stuff where you set up your game slots and everything, and I've been playing across 3 different maps. You've got the multiplayer, which is where you can set up the various bits and pieces that you can set up. You've probably done something similar in FS22. You have the downloadable content. Now, I'm going to say on this that this is similar to, but also more annoying than, previous. Now, we have this issue with these menus. There's multiple menus, and they've really gone out of their way to make it bloody hard to get around menus. I've played other games with multiple levels of menus and screens and things that have just been so much easier. So the menu on the left-hand side is L1 and R1 for up and down, which is really confusing because in most cases you would use D-pad for up and down, but the D-pad for up and down is inside, and then you have the D-pad for across the top. So instead of using like R1 and L1 across the top, or R2 and L2 across the top, which seems to be a sort of a page down function, you have L1 and R1 being a vertical menu, which is bizarre and weird. And when you're actually over here, you can't, like if you're further down the menu and you want to go left or right, you can't just go left and right. You have to then go, you have to go it a couple of times to get up to it's so tedious. The menu navigation system is just really dreadfully bad, I will tell you. The other thing I'll note is for here, which I'm kind of surprised about, is there's not nearly there's not really as much good mods as there were in FS22. Now, I know it's going to take a little bit of time for these things to come through, and that's fine, but there's definitely some mods that I've been looking for that I've been unable to find, and I can only assume that for whatever reason they haven't managed to make it across yet, which is a bit disappointing. And there's some things that are still mods that really pisses me off about the game, that really needs to be sorted out, like autoloaders. But we will get into that, because there's an autoloader right there, and that's fine, but we will get into autoloaders, because I have an autoloader mod, and it sure as shit doesn't work very well, and I'm not blaming that on the guy that wrote the mod, or the girl that wrote the mod, or whatever. Frankly, autoloading should be base game. It should be base game. It deserves to be base game. I've just gone over how production chains have been modified to make your life an awful lot easier. Do you know what would make your life an awful lot freaking easier? Some decent autoloaders that were actually part of the base freaking game. Anyway, there we go. As an aside, I don't like the backgrounds. I don't know why we've got these weird backgrounds. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a weird pattern in the background. It's like, I don't know what it's meant to be, but it's really annoying. It just looks grainy and horrible, and I think it's tedious and crap. But there you go, that's just me. And then you got, you know, various other bits and pieces and crap and various other stuff that you have, etc. So that's your first experience. Your first experience is tedium and trying to figure out why the hell the menu doesn't behave like you think it probably should. Right, okay, here we are. So once you actually manage to get yourself into the game, you're faced with the usual kind of things that you're faced with once you've navigated the annoying menus, which is settings. Now, again, the settings is just, as a navigational system, unnecessarily complicated for a start. But also still freaking confusing, and I don't understand it. So you have game settings and general settings. Which I suppose is that what it is? Is an interactive zone marker which only appears in the game a general setting, or is it a game setting? I don't know. A help window, I can see that being a general setting. Colorblind mode, yes, general setting. Interactive zone markers, I'd say that's a game. Info trigger field info, okay, maybe. Units, yeah, okay, fine. The radio, wasn't that game? I don't know. Reset vehicle camera, indoor camera suspension input, easy arm controls. Vehicle sensitivities and things. That's probably okay. Volumes is okay. So, I don't know. And then, as you can see, you have to... Oh, no, I didn't want to do that, because I wanted to go up to the top. But whenever you try and go left and right, you invariably change something you don't want to change, because the menu sucks. Anyway, you get back up here. So you got the usual kind of bits and pieces and stuff. Set up your traffic. Set up your economic difficulty. Do you want seasonal growth? Would you like some snow? The snow is pretty shit, honestly. I think it was better in FS22, but you can have it on if you want. It just doesn't look great. I mean, it's not the worst. It certainly ain't the best. Crop destruction. No, now there's some fun. We'll get into that in a minute. Periodic plowing has been the same. Fieldstones been the same. Weeds have been the same. Disaster destruction defines if destruction is active on a disaster. Now, I've played for about 5 years on this game. I've not even seen a disaster. So I don't know even what the heck this is talking about. And I don't know why it's this kind of a menu. It just, like, visuals only disabled, enabled. I've not seen a thing. Could we not have that similar to this and have 3 boxes? And have this expressed as 3 boxes instead of like this? You know, it's the same with this. Fixed visual month. Okay, well you can change that to the fixed month. Seasonal growth. Yes, no, or paused. I'm confused. It gets even more confusing when you get down here, because you have some of these things, which is fine. This is another one. You've only got 3 options, so why is it? This has only got 2 options, but it isn't the same as this one, which also only has 2 options. Why are these menus different? Why is this menu selection different? It's really confusing, because you're like, what the hell is going on? And the graphic settings are what the graphic settings are, and everything else and all the rest of it. So the settings menu is really tedious from a start. Right, while we're talking about menus, and we'll talk about the tedium of menus, here we are with the prices menu. Now, you cannot fast search this. and there's a lot of products. So whenever you were trying to find a product, any product, you have to go all the way through the products, and you have to go all the way back up again, or you can maybe get across to the top, but then you got to go back to, it stays where it was, so you're still going to have to go back up. That is so tedious. That is just so. You get my point. Vehicles that I own, that's fine. Hand tools that I own. Situation with my finances. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. 5 months. This is a long-term game, right? You are in this for like you are trying to manage finances over the course of several years, and the best we get is 5 months, one active month, and the 4 previous months. That that's not good enough. That's just not good enough. I need to see more. I need to know more. This does not present me with enough data about exactly what I'm doing. This is crap. This is just crap. This is definitely not helping me plan anything. Statistics, great. I got a whole lot of statistics. What is that helping me with? I don't know. What is that helping me with? I don't really have a clue. I mean, I suppose some people like that, and that's great. It's not helping me. So, I don't know. Production chains, that's fine. The beauty of these menus, which is even more complicated as you see me there. So, when I get to this, I have these things that are available that I can scroll up and down through and have a look. Now, these are the only ones that are available on the map. I can place more on the map, but the map doesn't come with everything on it. So, for example, there's a potato processing plant, which is great, but you will see there that if you want to make potato chips, you need sunflower oil. There's no oil press on this map. So if you want to make other potato chips, oh wait, how do you get other potato chips? Well, you have to then go with your D-pad over to the right and have a look. You can make other chips with other oils. And if you want to look again, you have to use your D-pad to go over to the right again. I can't go over to the right. So in this case, I can't go over. So passing through these menus is a case of also using your D-pad while you're at it, just for utter confusion's sake. And then you have to go up to the top to go into the next one, which is one you can have a look at. And then this one, I can go over here and I can have a look at that, and I can actually scroll up and down on that side. It's just so freaking annoyingly hard. Contracts. This is the contracts menu. The usual kind of jizz jazz biz wars. Contracts that are active, contracts that are new, the usual kind of stuff. I'm going to talk more about contracts in a minute, but not right now. These are my other production chains, which are the animals. I've got some water buffalo, and I've got some chickens. I'm going to talk about that soon. There you can see all the usual kind of stuff from the water buffalo side of things, which, you know, there's a big thing about water buffaloes, but at the end of the day, it's just a cow with a different skin. I don't really think they've done much to change their behavior or anything like that. There's some pricing. You have the crop calendar, and I want to talk about that as well. It's pretty much the same. I don't like the colors, the green and red. I mean, it's really contrasting. Maybe that's a colorblind thing, but I mean, maybe that's what the colorblind mode fixes, because that is dreadful. The colorblind mode, let's put that on, which is fine. We'll go back and have a look at the. That's slightly better. In that you can see things that are less garish. The green and red is incredibly garish. It wasn't always that intense. It was a bit more pastel in the other ones, which made a little bit more sense. I don't know what else colorblind mode changes, so I'm sorry, but I am going to switch. I'm going to switch that off. Because, like I said, it might change other parts of the game I don't want it to change. So that's the calendar, and like I said, I want to talk about that in some more detail. Obviously, you can see that we've still got it spring, summer, autumn, and winter, so it's not calendrical. For this map, it's March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, and you still have to get yourself around that. And then we have the main map, which is the same as it's been. You'll see that there's strange lines on some of the fields, and some of these lines don't seem to go the full length of the fields, which is weird, isn't it? Don't you think that looks weird? That looks bizarre to me. We've got some weird graphic renders going on here. Do you know what this is? I know what this is. We're going to have a talk about that. I think this is in relation to the natural disasters or something. These crops have taken damage. That's what that means. But we also have these weird lines, which are called tram lines. We're going to get to that because they suck too. The usual kind of stuff. You've got some more products. You've got wheat, barley, canola, oat, corn, sunflower, soybean we didn't have, I don't think. Potatoes, rice is new. Sugar beet, we did have sugarcane, we had cotton, we had. I can't remember if we had sorghum. We did have grapes, we did have olives, we did have poplar. Red beet is new, carrots, parsnips, green beans, peas, spinach, grass, and oilseed is not new. So there are some products. A lot of them are very similar in a way, and there's nothing strange, startling, or new, except maybe the grass and entirely. Soybean is like just any other crop, so is sorghum. Red beet is like potatoes or beet. Carrots and parsnips have similarity to potatoes, I suppose, in a lot of ways. Green beans is just a product that grows on the ground. So is peas. So is spinach. They just have some slightly different visuals to them, and some slightly different machinery, and some slightly different pricing. But it's pretty much exactly what you think it's going to be, really. Except for the beans, I was expecting something different from the beans. I was expecting something maybe a little bit more like grapes, in that we growing beans on runners or something. But it doesn't actually work out like that. They just look like a plant that's sitting on the ground. Which we might be able to go and have a look at. Are there any beans? This looks like beans. Is this beans? Could be. Green beans. Yeah, here you go. So this is what green beans look like, which isn't much, really. They don't look like much at all. It looks like a scruffy old thing. But there you go. I mean, I don't know. This might be true to life. I've no idea. I was expecting green beans to be growing on like a trellisy kind of thing, but these don't. These grow low to the ground. So there you go. That's the old map menu, etc. It has the crop types. It has the growth things, which is the same as it's always kind of had, with all the various bits and pieces. Soil composition is more or less exactly the same as it has been with weeds. Plowing is listed as black. That can't be right, because none of these fields are black. So I don't know what that relates to. And I've not seen that. Rolling, I've seen mulch. We have mulched, even though I didn't mulch this field. I don't know why it says mulched. Stones, yeah, there's a field with stones in. So the stones watered. I guess that probably applies to rice. Maybe I have a rice paddy here, but it is not in the watered phase. So I don't really know anything about that, to be honest. You gotta go back up to the top. Hotspots is the same, where things, tip stations, load stations, productions, contracts, and others, etc. We'll talk about some of the others. The farmland, which is unowned, black. I think that black is like nothing. So that actually means nothing. So all of these blank ones need plowed, because that's what that means. That's confusing as hell, isn't it? We've got create jobs, which is the same as it's been with the AI. Tell them to go from A to B, and then watch while they get thoroughly confused and then get stuck and then don't know what to do. And I'll talk about that as well. Active AI workers, I'll talk about that as well. Precision farming, again, the same as it has been, really. You can go out with the Iseria Pro, or you can just buy the soil information. You can add in tram lines here. We'll be talking about that. You can go through the various other bits and pieces that you have in relation to those fields, and we'll talk about that. So I need to get out of that, which means it dumps me out of the menu, which is really annoying. You have the pH. Well, let's have a look at something we know pH about. Sorry, I just moved on. This is the pH, so these have been treated. These are my 3 fields over here. This is another one that I've been monkeying around with. It's still got these weird striations. I don't know why it's doing that, because obviously I'm applying Lime universally, but it's showing up where the tracks are for the AI worker or the steering assist. Same with the nitrogens. You've got the changes because of other things that I don't know what that has to do with. Damage to the crops there, which we've talked about. The yield, I've cleared the yield map on this one. This is the last product yield. I don't know what that finger's about. That's weird. It's got this like weird long fingered bit. I don't know why it would have that. And the seed rate, which is, again, just telling you roughly what the seed rate looks like on the various other bits and pieces. I purchased that information just as a trial. This has got nothing. I don't own that land. Um, in fact, it's a good question. I don't own that land. Why do I even have that information? I didn't own it. I didn't buy it and sell it. I don't know why I've got that. That's a bug. That's just arrived for no purpose whatsoever. I haven't got a clue. Got nothing to do with it. So there you go. So that's the various menus and the various menu situations, etc., etc., etc. Which is just it's annoying. And I've been playing this for altogether the better part of sort of like 70 or 75 hours, and I still haven't got the hang of the menus. It's so different to every other game I play. Every other game I play has menus done in a different way, and this stands out as being bizarre. It's a little bit like driving a car and getting in the car and finding all of the controls in the wrong place, and then you have to try and figure out how to drive a new car every time. It really is bad. It really is very, very bad. And that's just the menus. That's before we even get into the gameplay. But anyway, should we have a look at something in the gameplay? Because there's something I want you to have a look at, and it really irks me no end. Right, so here we are sitting in a tractor, and this isn't our field because I've got crop damage turned on. This is what damage looks like in a field. I think this has something to do with natural disasters. These weird holes, and they're all shaped like little weird holes. So these little weird holes seem to crop up, and there's no information given. So this is a field of parsnips. It happens in all crop fields. It happens in sunflowers. It happens everywhere. I've seen it, and I don't know what the story is, and I don't know why it looks like that, and I have no idea. Anyway, that's that. So here we are in our tractor, and you can see in your tractor that there seems to be something going on around the tractor, doesn't there? There's a weird kind of a graphical anomaly going on. And you know when it gets worse? When you go outside, it gets really bad. Look at this. Look at this. This is meant to be the graphics. And the thing is, it's centered on the camera, not the vehicle. So when I move around, I get this enormous great big blob following me around. Hello, Mr. Blob. Who are you? Oh, I'm what they call limited detail popping, mate. That's just shocking. I pointed out in Farm Sim 22 that I was very, very much of the hope that they would improve this situation. And they've honestly somehow managed to make it actually worse, which is unbelievable. And the issue gets worse on grass, because you can then start to see more weird stuff happening on grass, as well as look at this field changing colour. Is it a green field or a brown field? Well, which is it? Because I don't know. Apparently it's both. It's two-tone. It's a rainbow field. You can see the fence materializing around the building. You can see the reflections in the pond going absolutely batshit crazy because they don't know what to do with reflections. Overall, the graphics are shit. This is a PS5 for crying out loud. PS5 for crying out freaking loud. Have you seen Death Stranding? Have you seen any really good games? Look at that, the edge of the field of the crop disappearing into the distance. I mean, we were vaguely hoping we would get something freaking better, and we've actually got something that's freaking worse. The grass, the everything else, everything is just getting worse. The graphics, and I find it hard to believe, both suck and blow at the same time. And it really is an infuriating part of the game. Speaking of infuriating, infuriating graphics and infuriating parts of the game. We're down here so we can talk about tram lines. Now, these look like shit for a start. For a start, it just honestly Minecraft. Anyway, aside from like being a big ticket thing that looks like shit. So the intention of this is if you go to the menu, quick save, of course, auto save, blah 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 blah. Right, so it's over here in precision farming. You'll find tram lines. Now, I want you to pay close attention to what you are seeing in the picture because this is how they are advertising it. This is how they are selling it. They are field paths used while driving on the field if the crops are already grown, a bit higher. I'm assuming that they mean that it's not just first stage growth. So if you've got crop destruction on, obviously you can drive over the plants. Well, obviously, but you will know this, I'm sure. You can drive over the plants in first stage. But after first stage, if you drive over the plants, you wreck them, right? That is the point. It's the point to make it harder for you to do some of the things. You need to think a little bit more, etc., etc. It's part of the precision farming package, right? So you get these tram lines. Now, the intention is that anything that I need to do here, like, I don't know, weeding. This guy looks like there's some weeds here, right? So maybe I wanted to weed. Well, you're going to need a weeder that's wide enough for a start. And then you're going to drive down here with your weeder. And then you're going to get to the end here with your weeder. Or your sprayer, or whatever. Okay, well now what? Now you need to turn around, right? How are you gonna... What? You're gonna trash the crop. No matter how much you try this, you're gonna end up taking a chunk out of your crop, right? Because then you're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to reverse back up. You're gonna have to do whatever. Or you reverse back out the entire way, right? So then you have to go down here, and you head off down this tram line, and you... God, really? The same thing? Down here? So now I need to turn around here? And now... Why doesn't it just go straight over the edge? Why don't it just go down here? Just down here, to the edge. And then I can turn around on the edge, and then I can come back up the other tram line. Instead of this bizarre structure that they have here. What the hell is this? Why is this here? Who is this helping, and what the heck is it doing? It's a total nuisance. It looks like crap, and it's a pain in the ass. And the worst thing is that's fine. I don't need to have it on my crops, and I don't have it on my crops because it's such a pain in the ass. But you can't globally turn it off. There's no setting switch off tram lines, because that would be a great thing to have. Switch off tram lines before you get weird crap like this happening. What is this? What is this thing here? Look at this thing that you're meant to try and figure out how to drive around here. That's just, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? These tram lines over here, look at this. This even gets fun. What are we meant to do with this? What's this thing happening here? What's going on? The whole lot is just absolute bollocks. Why is it even there? I have no idea. Tram lines, waste of time, piece of shit. Can't be bothered with it. Right, while we're talking about graphic nonsense, what's this? What's happening in here? As someone pointed out, mosquito breeding farm. What is this? Is this meant to be a drain or a river? What's happening? Because it's neither. Farmers are pretty canny people when it comes to drainage, right? Farmers know that there's all kinds of problems with having too much water or not enough water or not having adequate drainage. So you know one thing that they really definitely make sure? They really definitely make sure that they have very good farm drains, right? They wouldn't have this. What the hell is this? Why is this here? It should just be a drain. It's a shallow bowl-shaped depression that water runs through. It's not whatever this is. What is this? What is this meant to be? Nonsense. Right, while we're talking about graphics nonsense, I would like you to pay attention to the field on my left. The field on my left is a field that I had the AI plant for me. It's my carrots. and my carrots are ready to harvest. And I just, do you see the shape? Do you see the shape that my carrots have been planted in? What the hell is going on? I'm pretty sure that he actually didn't plant it like that. I mean, I didn't watch him 100% of the time when he was planting my carrots. But I can't imagine he would have planted them like that, because the way that the AI works is if you set this, it sets the headlands, which I'll get to in a minute when we look at this. If I can't, why can't I change to steering assist? I don't want that. I'm over here. I come to close to the edge of my thing. It won't let me use steering assist for some reason. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is, when you set it up with headlands, it obviously drives a headland around the field. Now, a headland is around the perimeter of the field, and then you have straight lines in the middle. So that is exactly what the AI worker would have done. That's not what my crops are doing, so I didn't do that. That's just graphics falling apart. That's just the whole graphic generation system being bollocks. That's what that is. And while we're talking about things being bollocks, here's a field I created for rice. You know, that great big thing they made a great big to-do about and said, oh, we're doing rice, it's marvellous, it's lovely, it's super, it's fantastic. Yeah, I did that. Look what I got. Look what I freaking got. This thing, look at the state of it. What the hell? I mean, it looks so shit. Really? I mean, okay, I could have used the leveling tool. Have you tried using the leveling tool? So anyway, I end up with this thing, which looks like bollocks, which is a pain in the ass, because now it just looks like bollocks instead of looking like something good. And I don't know. Yeah, okay, got rice. That's fine. Awesome. Honestly, I tell you, the graphics. What the hell? What the actual fucking hell are they up to with the graphics in this game? Right, okay, we're over here in the starting farm. This is the starting farm for Zelonka. And we're just going to get started on a few other things. But before we do get started on a few other things, I just want to point out that this is a Challenger tractor, right? So this is one that I got, 200 horsepower. It's got fairly chunky wheels. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's probably a reasonable piece of kit, right? So what we'll do is we'll just head out of the field, shall we? Oh no, wait! There's a curb! There's a curb! So every time you hit a curb with a tractor or any other vehicle, it throws a fit, because the curb is so difficult for a tractor to get up. And in fact, in some cases, it ends up stalling the vehicle out, and you can't get the vehicle over the curb at all. It's absolute rubbish. The Sims don't exist. You can't run them over. They just vanish. But yeah, so you've got this curb, which is just... it's dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. Absolutely rubbish. Absolutely dreadful. Anyway, just another piece of shit. We're back here in the menu. Now, I need to get a harvester, right? I've got some rice to harvest, so I need to get a harvester. So, I could search rice, maybe. Let's try searching rice. What do we get? Oh no, I get that. So I only get rice sapling pallets. Okay. Is it a harvester? Harvester? No, that's that. Oh. How would I find it if I don't know what the fuck it's called? I mean, that's the point of a search function, right? Oh no, the search function doesn't work. Okay, well, never mind. Hey, look, there's packs. We'll go to a rice pack. Yay, there's a rice harvester. You see, it's not called a rice harvester. It's just called an aseki, and it harvests indicated crops. So that's why you can't find it. Hey, because of that. So anyway, there you go. Look, it's a rice harvester, and that's fine. And we're going to lease that, and that's about $2,000, etc., etc. So let's take that over to our rice field, and then we'll start having a look at some of the interesting shit that happens when you try and engage AI workers. Right, I'm over here at my rice field, which, because my rice field came in such a freaking bizarre manner, I have to do this, because don't forget I've got crop destruction on. So if I've got crop destruction on and I drive on there, I'm trashing some of my rice. So let's say you wanted to hire an AI worker. Now I've got this new screen. Now this new screen has two interesting things. One of them is better than the other. The one that is better than the other is steering assist, which again, for some strange reason, I cannot choose steering assist. There we are, long last. So, if I choose steering assist, you need to then go through this. You need to choose the working width, and I'll tell you why you need to be careful with that. The number of headlands, the working direction, and you can tilt stuff. I don't know why you would want to, but you can. I'm assuming that there's some purpose why that's required. A side offset. I don't know what that has to do with anything. It doesn't explain. And then there's show lines off and on. Well, obviously, you know, we'd like to see them so we know. And cruise control, which is manual or automatic. Now, if I then go back and I start to harvest, so let's turn on the harvester, lower the harvester, and we'll get going. Oh, we can't quite get up the field here. We're gonna have to come down. I'm gonna have to trash some of my crop to get the harvester onto the actual paddy. Oh man, this game. Let's go this way. Right, there we go. Right, okay. So, what have we got here? Where were we? We had steering assist on? Yes, alright. So there we go. So there's a line. So what happens is when I turn the harvester on, I lower the harvester, and I hit cruise control. If I hit circle, it hits the line, and now I'm automatically following the line. Oh, as long as the line doesn't for some reason stop. So I'm automatically following the line, and that's fine. If I try and steer the vehicle, it stops the line, etc., etc. But I carry on and I go up and down, and I'm harvesting, and there you can see we're getting some rice and everything else, and that's all tickety boo and well and good, right? Except for two things. One is, what if I don't want to do headlands? Well, you're shit out of luck. You got to do at least one, and in some cases more than one. You cannot turn headlands off on steering assist. I don't know why. You can't. Which is the same with AI worker. The AI worker wants to do at least 3. Now, do you know why the AI worker wants to do at least 3? I will tell you why the AI worker wants to do 3. Because it's going to do something really bizarre. So I've started the AI worker, so it has a little think about what's happening. It's then going to carry on. Now, when it gets to the corner of this particular field, which is an interesting shape even for an AI worker to figure out, it isn't going to turn around. Oh no. It's going to start doing this. Do you want to tell me what that is? Do you want to talk to me about what's happening right now? I mean, are we carving pretty patterns and things? What the heck is going on? What is going on, I will tell you, because you don't know, is that the AI worker system has changed. So what I believe is now happening is that they used to drive off the field quite a lot, and it used to cause problems. So Giants have changed the coding so that it doesn't drive. They never drive off the field, or they certainly try not to. So every time they get to a corner, they do weird crap in the corner, and it depends on the size of the machine. They do this weird crap to give themselves space to turn around without, I guess, damaging the crop or missing some crop or something like that. Does this always work? No, of course it doesn't work. I did get damage in my rice field, look. It poses some really significant problems, and I'm going to show some of those problems to you real soon, because this is not just a small issue, this is a game-breaking issue for some particular crops. We're going to have a look at those right now, I just want to confirm to you that this guy's going to muck around when he gets to the corner. He's going to do it at every corner. Every time you hire an AI worker in every field, for every harvest, they're going to do this whenever they get to a corner of a field. They're going to do this weird shenanigans where they're going to mess around and they're going to do all this nonsense. The only time that I've seen them get to a corner of a field and not do something bizarre is cutting grass. So be prepared for your AI worker doing some silly shit. Right, I've sort of run out of time on this one. Don't worry, there's a part 2. Oh, there's so much to complain about. There's a part 2, but before I get on to part 2, which will cover things like construction and placement and production and some other things that I just want to caution you about these AI and steering assist things, because the issue that I have with this is something here called working width. Now that's fine, working width, right? So let's remember working width, okay? And let's then have a look at something. So if you are looking at say a plow, and you look down there at the bottom of the plow, at the where it says all of the details, you'll say that there's a width that says 1.2 meters. That's the working width of the plow, and that one's 2 to 2.5 meters, which is interesting. 2.5 meters, 4.2, 4.9, 6, and 3.5, and so forth. And that's all relatively easy and relatively fine, etc. Now then, I want to caution you about this thing. Now, if you have used this thing, you will know what this is. This is a planter for poplar, and you know, it's the design that it is, probably a real world design, and the poplars come out of the middle, which is fine. Now then, the working width of this device is 1 meter, but the actual width of the device is not 1 meter, right? Because the working width is the meter that's down here in the middle when we're talking about planting. But the device itself is like 2.5 or something meters wide. Now, the problem you have when you then go and you get into your tractor and you set your AI worker, your steering assist, the working width that it uses. Why is this mad? It won't even let me change anything now. So the working width, it will pick the working width based on the width of the machine, not the actual working width. So if you use the poplar device, it picks a working width of like 2.5 meters, which means it only puts poplars in half your field, and you have to go back and redo it, which is shit. Why can't it just pick the working width automatically? You'd think that would be simple. Anyway, that's just one more problem. There's more problems with AI workers yet to come, trust me, including the one that, in my mind, breaks a substantial part of the game, possibly. So, there you go. Anyway, there we are. That's the end of this one. I've banged on enough, really. I really wish I had. But there is a part 2. So, do stay tuned for part 2. And if you're enjoying this rant so far, hit that like. And if you really want to hear more rants like this, why not hit that subscribe, and I'll see you all for part 2 real soon. Ta-ta for now.